Live coverage here on CBS Sports HQ. Dana White at the podium.
Amazing. You think Charles Oliveira been a guy that's been around here for a decade, you know, and had some ups and downs and had some losses. So I'm just curious, like, along this path, I mean, did you ever look at him? He's clearly talented. He's got a ton of bonuses. But did you ever look and go, like, that guy's probably going to be a champion someday, or did you have concerns?
You never know. You never know with these guys. You never know what's gonna happen. I mean, this whole thing was based on timing. When you look at the timing of how this all played out, from Khabib's retirement to Conor losing to Poirier to a trilogy, you know, Chandler looking good in the Hooker fight, Chandler, you know, willing to do anything it took to fight anybody, and just all these things played out for this fight to happen tonight here in Houston, and it was an awesome main event.
Yeah. You know, right away, as soon as champions get crowned, we start asking who their first defense is going to be against. I'm just curious. I mean, you got guys like Justin Gaethje out there, right? And then you've got this huge main event with Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor coming up. Do you look at either of those as kind of having an inside track over the other? Is there a clear path right now that makes sense for them?
I literally haven't even thought about it. Never even crossed my mind yet. You know, we'll get home and start worrying about that stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure Brazil is going to be excited about seeing him fight again. I mean, we're in this kind of reopening process. Do you have any idea of when the UFC might be back to Brazil? I mean, is that even on the radar yet?
No. I mean, you know, I'm sure some of us that live in Vegas are excited to get home and there's no more masks and all that stuff, but I don't know about the rest of the country or the rest of the world for that matter. I have no idea. Take this one day at a time.
Yeah, and just on the event schedule overall, I mean, second event with a crowd. We know we got Arizona coming up, Vegas. Is there a move to start moving fight nights back to crowds as well, or are we still just pay-per-views now?
Yeah, no. We're not even looking at fight nights. I mean, we didn't even have gates in our budget until October and November. So right now, to start trying to find places for fight nights, it just makes no sense. We'll stay at the cozy Apex and do our thing for the rest of the year, I think.
Nice. One name I didn't mention in that title mix is Benil Dariush. I just want to ask you what you thought about his performance tonight and kind of where he stands. He's kind of been on the outside looking in, but he's got a heck of a run going on now.
Yeah, you know, listen, he went in and he didn't do anything. He didn't do any favors in gaining any new fans tonight, but, you know, it was a tough go against a fan favorite like Tony. He went in, did what he had to do to win, and you know, he'll get another fight now. You know, one of the top 5 guys.
Nice. The last thing for me, I did want to ask you about Tony Ferguson, man. We saw the love for him in the building tonight, man. Super fan favorite, but obviously, you know, lost all 3 rounds. Have you talked to him, and where do you think he stands in his career? Because I think a lot of people are questioning kind of what does he have left.
Yeah, I hear you, and you know, he had a tough 3 rounds. He couldn't stop the takedown. He couldn't get up from underneath Dario and Benil, and yeah, he had a tough night. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Dana, just going off of that, I think Tony has landed something like 30 strikes in the last 30 minutes he's been in the octagon, which is obviously not a very good sign for a fight.
What has he had?
He's landed 30 strikts in 30 minutes, so obviously not a great output. Do you think this is a case of where that fight with Gaethje just sort of maybe started to wind down his career?
Yeah, it could be that. It could be just, you know, time gets us all. You know, so it's one of those things. I don't know which one or both, but yeah, unfortunately, it's definitely hit Tony.
Yeah, I know you don't do this stuff on the night of the fight, but do you maybe start thinking like, well, look, he's looked so sort of uninspiring that maybe we should start looking at having that conversation with him, or do you let him make that decision still at this point?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. He's tough as hell, though, man. He was in that heel hook, and his ankle definitely popped. I mean, his ankle, the rest of the fight, looked like a golf ball, and maybe even a baseball. And he kept fighting. There's no quitting that dude.
Same with the armbar against Oliveira as well.
Yeah, no, he's tough.
Yeah, maybe too tough for his own good.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the question about the fight nights and stuff, we're always asking you, oh, will we go back to crowds for fight nights? Is probably biased with the Vegas-based media that maybe we don't want to travel every week. We'd rather stay at the Apex.
Right.
Do you think there's a possibility that staying at the Apex versus travel costs, travel expenses, it might work out in the long term that actually we never go back to fight nights with crowds?
No, one of the reasons that I believe personally that this sport has grown as big and as fast as it is because we take this thing all over the world. You know, we go into, you know, Oklahoma and places where people usually don't get fights. So the fight nights are a big part of our brand, and you know. We'll continue to do it when the whole country opens up. But for us right now, I mean, we're trying to figure out what's next for the next pay-per-view after Vegas. And guys, I've been to New York, and I talked to people from Massachusetts and places like this where people aren't doing shit still. I mean, and I was in New York last week. The Peninsula, one of the biggest, nicest hotels in the world, isn't open and hasn't been open for a year and a half. The St. Regis isn't open. Cipriani isn't open. Some of these, I mean, all these places are closed. And maybe some of you here are from New York, but that's crazy to me. Yeah, the guy in the back, it's crazy to me. When I go there and these places are all still closed. I mean, you guys who live in Vegas, I was in Caesar's Palace the other day. You couldn't fit more people in that place. It was madness. You know, Vegas is rocking and booming. You come to Texas, you go to Florida, you know, people are living normal lives, but you start thinking about where we take this thing next. A lot of these states are still really, really closed down.
Yeah, I don't think COVID's been a thing in Vegas for a while.
Yeah.
But The Ultimate Fighter comes back on TV on June 1st. I know you can't tell us much about it, but how's the show been? How have the fights been?
It's been good. It's good to have it back. It's been a fun season so far, so I'm looking forward to it.
Good antics between the coaches?
Did what?
Any banter between the coaches?
Yeah, we had a little blow up the other day with those two. Got a little heated, but then before I left, we had to sit down and everybody was cool. So kind of up and down.
Okay. Last thing from me, and I know you love answering questions about these guys, but the head of Triller says that you blocked GSP from boxing Oscar De La Hoya and that you made a move for Jake Paul.
Oh my God! Don't even ask me about these idiots. Who gives a shit? Does anybody give a shit?
I guess they
do. No, I don't give a shit what they think. You think I care what Triller thinks?
No. Are you sick and tired of them mentioning UFC?
I don't even take their calls. This idiot calls me every day. Texts me every day. Please answer my call. Please talk to me. Why won't you talk to me? Because I don't give a fuck about you. Do your thing. Leave me alone. Go fucking do whatever it is you're doing. Knock yourself out. I could care less.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. I have no interest in talking to any of those idiots.